Good afternoon again, precious friends. Welcome back to Aunt Patty's Kitchen on the Carnivore Hippie channel. Today we're doing recipe number 3 in my series of 5 recipes of easy and totally not boring things to do with ground beef to spice up your carnivore way of eating. So let's get started. Hardware, of course, at first, all you're going to need is a wide skillet. This is a 12-inch skillet. This is for a pound of pre-cooked weight ground beef. A wooden spoon to stir with, a spoon to serve with, a knife to chop up what you're going to chop up with. All my stuff is pre-chopped, except for a couple of things, which I'm going to show you. And on we go to software. So here is our pre-cooked ground beef. This is 1 pound pre-cooked weight. It ends up being about 12 to 14 ounces of cooked weight. Here's about 6 ounces of canned diced tomatoes with green chili. You can use plain diced tomato and just add a little bit of chopped bell pepper to it, but I find this very, very convenient. This is about 1/3 cup of sliced green olives. You can use just a regular small can of the inexpensive pre-sliced green olives, but I really recommend that you find yourself some decent green olives and use those. I really think it's worth it. 1/2 cup of diced green onion, a couple of tablespoons of diced cilantro, minced cilantro, about a teaspoon of cumin powder, a tablespoon of smoked paprika, a teaspoon or 2 to your taste of minced garlic, and a 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and a tablespoon of jarred capers, which I will show you how to deal with in a moment. And this is 1 ounce of a shot of vodka, which is completely optional, but I highly recommend it. And I'll explain that when we get to it. So first of all, I'm going to show you how I deal with the capers. Capers are pickled flower buds, you may know, and they're little round things and they roll all over the place. And they're very salty and kind of sour. And some people like biting into them. I don't like biting into a whole caper, but I really like the taste that they bring to the dish. So what I do is I just put my knife down and just slide across them and I break them up a little bit. Number 1, they don't roll around. And number 2, they get broken up. They're flower buds, so once you mash them up a little bit, they tend to break apart. Okay, so that's how I do the capers. You can just put them in whole if you want to. Some people like biting into them. I think they're a bit strong. I don't like biting into them. So there's that. So that's the first thing. Whoops, excuse me. That glare is really annoying. So we're going to have to do that way. So we're going to turn our pan on to high heat for the time being. And we're going to add some fat to our pan. This is the fat that we gleaned from making our sheet pan ground beef in the previous video. And we're going to put a couple of tablespoons of fat right here in this pan. We don't have to worry about cooking our ground meat because the ground meat is already cooked. This is another one of my super fast recipes. We're going to let that heat up. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to toast our spices. Probably should have had this heating up. Now, this dish is called Picadillo Cubano, and or Cuban picadillo. It's typically an empanada filling, but since we don't do pastry, we're just gonna eat it in a bowl because it's delicious enough to eat on its own. And because you may have noticed it has a lot of Mexican-y sort of Central American sort of seasonings in it, but because it's Cuban, the Cubans don't traditionally eat a lot of hot food. So they do eat peppers, but they generally eat only sweet peppers. So the tomato and pepper mixture that I have is with very mild peppers, and the smoked paprika that I have is sweet smoked paprika. However, if you like spicy food, this is absolutely up to you. You can spice it up as much as you want to, but traditionally, it's not spicy. There we go. We're getting ready. So we're going to put in our paprika and our cumin and our cinnamon into our couple of tablespoons of fat here, and we're just going to let this toast for a minute. You can see how it's bubbling. That's called bloom. And once it's bloomed like that, we're going to put our capers, our garlic. Now that it's hot, we're going to back it off back down to medium heat. We're going to stir those in. Oh, I wish you could smell this. And now we're going to add our onions. It really does go this fast, folks. Just let this cook for another minute or so. Literally just like a minute. Just until the onions have begun to wilt a little bit. And now we're going to add, left some paprika over. Our tomatoes. With some of the juice. You can use the whole 10-ounce can if you want to, but since this is about the ground meat, you don't have to. I've backed off on the tomatoes a little bit. That's about half of a standard can of mixed diced tomatoes and green peppers. So now the olives. Get yourself some good olives, really. It's worth it. Slice them up yourself. But as I always say, you do you, boo-boo. If you don't want to bother with it, leave it out. So now, this is going to reduce just a little bit. As I say, you're going to be amazed at how fast this goes. And we're going to put about half or 2/3 of the cilantro in here because we're going to save a little bit back for garnish. Just because I'm a garnish monkey. That's how I roll. You can see that it's getting a little pasty, and now we're going to put in our ground beef. And we're going to stir this and let everything get all mixed up. Let the ground beef get coated. It really is almost done. This is so fast and so delicious. I really, really hope you try it, especially if you like Cuban food. This is a really great dish if you have people in the household. You can just double the recipe if you have a lot of people. If you have people in the household that, aren't ready to commit to a carnivore diet, you can serve this over some rice or over some cauliflower rice if you have people who like vegetables who are eating keto. This is good too. This is really great. So now I'm going to hit the heat back up to high again so that everything gets nice and warm. And the sauce is really reduced down, so it's really coating the beef. You can taste this and add some salt if you want to, but I find with the olives and the capers, it doesn't need any salt to my taste, but you taste it and decide if it needs some more salt. Now, the beef seems to have reheated now. The vodka, I really recommend this. The alcohol in the vodka is going to release flavors, especially in the tomatoes and the olives and the capers, that really just don't get released. It dissolves. It's a solvent for certain chemicals that just don't dissolve in oil or water. So it really changes the taste, and the vodka doesn't have much flavor in and of itself. So I really recommend it. So we're going to just drizzle the vodka right in here. That's an ounce. And we're just going to let that cook off until all of the vodka is cooked down. Obviously, there's not enough vodka in here to intoxicate anybody. It's just enough to add to the flavor. This is doing the same thing for this that, like, say, putting some red wine in your spaghetti sauce would do. And turn it off. I'm telling you, that's it, really, honestly. How fast was that? We're going to take that off the heat because we don't want it to continue cooking anymore. Like I said, super fast, super easy. Gonna serve it up. And right over here we have, just because I like it, this is not traditional, but I like it. This is crumbled goat cheese. You could use cotija or queso fresco, would also be delicious on this. I just like it. Like I said, this isn't traditional, but I really, really like it. Just a little sprinkling of crumbled fresh cheese. Like I said, this is goat. And a little toss of cilantro and a little bit of freshly ground black pepper. Well, I didn't get me a spoon. I guess the world would come to an end if I remembered everything that I was supposed to have at the beginning of the recipe. Here we go. Picadillo Cubano. Wonderful, delicious, super fast, super easy, super delicious. You really need to try this if you eat a lot of ground beef. You need to serve this to your family because even the non-carnivores are going to like it. There's very little vegetables in here. There's maybe like 2 tablespoons of vegetables in this whole bowl. And I'm going to taste it now. You can taste the paprika and the green chili, but it's not spicy at all. Like I said, you can spice it up however you want to. But the olives and the capers completely take care of enough salt for me. Always salt to taste. You do you. And the goat cheese just adds a tanginess that I really enjoy. Once again, it's not traditional, but it's what I like. And the cilantro just gives it a freshness that really makes it, just rounds it out and makes it completely delicious. So there you have it. Super fast, easy, delicious. Cook up a couple of big sheet pans of ground beef. Put them in your fridge, and honestly, you will have dinner on the table in 15 minutes. Seriously. Yummy. Thank you once again for joining me, and we'll see you soon for number 4 in super easy and totally unboring things to do with ground beef to spice up your carnivore lifestyle. I love you all. Peace, love, and meat. I will talk again soon.